Hello and welcome once more to the welfare series. You know, that is such a huge thing for any of us who love, who have horses, who are thinking about having a horse. You know, we really owe it to our horses to understand what is the welfare component, what is the piece that they need so much in order to feel safe, because that is the number one thing a horse needs to feel is safe. And I always think it's funny because it parallels over to actually human beings, because if we don't feel safe, how do we move forward in life? So it's so exciting. Did you want to introduce yourself?
I am Carson Scooter. It's funny because sometimes we forget to introduce ourselves.
We do.
So I am Carson Scooter, and look at who it is. It's Nicole.
We were just talking about you. Sure were.
I am Carson Scooter. I am the social media guru here at Equine Connection, as well as a facilitator and instructor.
Hi, my name is Carrie Fomek. Of course, the Equine Connection, the Academy of Equine Assisted Learning. I'm the founder of the Equine Connection, and of course, the master instructor who helps people around the globe doing what we do, and that is helping human beings to be able to move forward, but through the horse working together as a partner. You know, sometimes it's so valuable. It's not therapy per se, because the therapy is while you're with the horse. But of course, it's the human being being able to empower themselves to move forward. And we never ride our teachers here with the certification that we have. It's always about hearing from the horse what we as a human being need to be able to do to move forward. Because you know what? Human beings, we are smart. We are very smart. We do have the answers. Sometimes they just get lost in all the commotion with brain. That's all I can say about that. Overthinking. And we're so excited today because we have Schelli joining us, and Carson's going to do a beautiful intro to her.
And just before we get started with the intro, we actually have a fun little game that we want to play with you guys today.
I love games,
so,
Carson.
Yeah, I know, they're the best. So Carrie's favorite phrase is "holy jumping tuna fish." So we want to make this a thing. So
it's true.
Anytime that you hear something that has valuable information, put hashtag holy jumpin' tuna fish, and then put what you learned. So hashtag holy jumpin' tuna fish. This video was awesome. Something like that.
Oh my goodness, give me a hand, little sister. This is my little daughter. That is just brilliant. I love that saying. You feel fun when you say, oh,
the other thing is we want to get this video out to as many horse lovers, horse dreamers, people who have their horses who want to progress to the next level with their horses. Share this out so that we can help as many people as possible through this series.
Free knowledge is so beautiful. And you know what? You don't know what you don't know until you know. And this is the piece that always amazes my brain every time we work with a horse and we learn and we meet new people, just like Schelli. Like, you don't know what you don't know until you know. And my favorite piece with Schelli alone is how she partners with these beautiful, majestic creatures who help us human beings who are so confused mainly all the time. So I love that, you know, the partnership versus using is one of my favorite pieces to the welfare of the horse.
Yes, so now to introduce our amazing guest speaker, we're so excited to have her here. We have Schelli Whitehouse here with us, who is a design expert for extraordinary equine-inspired businesses. She helps equine-assisted coaches, businesses, therapists, and facilitators weave their personal genius, ambitions, and philosophy into a lifestyle business with horsepower. Her mission is to spread the power of equine-inspired transformation and personal development by assisting other passionate practitioners to reach the people they are meant to serve. So Schelli has a huge background and combined experience as a professional actor. Wow, that's pretty incredible. Equine-assisted coach and business design consultant, and it has given her an artistic approach and fluid connection to our human emotions. So among all the other things, we have Schelli, who is an Equine Alchemy certified coach and facilitator. She's had the privilege to train and be mentored by master practitioners such as Lisa Murrell. Did I say that right?
Morel,
founder of Equine Alchemy, Linda Kahovanov. Sorry, Linda, if you're listening. Founder of Equine Quest and the author of The Tao of Equus, among many other books. In addition to her coaching and business mentoring practice, Schelli hosts retreats for independent coaches and their exclusive clients. Schelli's from Raleigh,
Oh my goodness.
North Carolina.
You really do need coffee.
Oh my goodness, it's rough. Schelli is from North Carolina, and we're so excited to have her here.
Yes, and this is her beautiful book too.
So welcome, 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 Schelli.
We're so excited to have you joining us and sharing your knowledge and helping all of us around the globe to be able to partner more and, of course, understanding what it is that you do so we can gain some of those tips.
Oh, look at, we already have a fully jumping tuna fish. Free knowledge. So
Holy
Schelli,
jumping tuna fish. I'm so happy to be here.
I love it.
So welcome, welcome. So just let us know a little bit. How did you get started in this industry? What drew you to horses?
Thank you. Gosh, well, it was about 11 years ago. And I kind of stumbled into it. Like, I knew I wanted to work with horses. I just always had to have horses in my life. And I didn't want to be a trainer. Like, I didn't want to train other people's horses. I was kind of going down that path, but it just didn't excite me. I loved working with the horses and seeing their development, but I just didn't want to spend my time training other people's horses. Just wasn't what I wanted to do. And I knew I wanted to work in the field of personal development, and I didn't know what to do about that. I'd never heard of coaching at that point. And one day I was in Barnes & Noble. I clearly remember, like, it was one of those things that you like always remember where you were. And I was in Barnes & Noble, and I always went over, this is back when there were lots of magazines and before we had internet, as prolific as it is. And I was looking at magazines, and I was always trying to find horse stuff. And I saw Linda's book, and I was, a little bit into personal development and that kind of thing at the time. And I saw her book, and the title was The Tao of Equine. And I thought, and it just clicked, like just dropped into my body. Like I just felt, I could feel it. I could just feel that title. So I took that book home, and it changed my life. So from that moment on, I was like, holy crap, this exists. Like this exists. It's like, I didn't even know, you started this morning, Carrie, with you just don't know what you don't know. And then when you know it, it changes everything. Yeah. So that started me on the path. So that's how I got into this. And then eventually ended up doing the coach training with Equine Alchemy and working with Linda and facilitation and then just growing from there, and then went into marketing. So when I came out of my coach training program, and this is why I'm so passionate in their businesses, is I was, oh my God, just came flying out of the gate. I have this new superpower. I'm going to change the world, and we're going to do it with horses, and everybody's going to just think this is the coolest thing ever, because it is. And I had a really rude awakening. Didn't know how to get clients. I didn't have a program, and I didn't know how to talk to anybody. Now what do I do? So I went off and got some marketing training, and just kind of stumbled down that path for a while. So fast forward to now, and I've been coaching and facilitating and teaching for almost 11 years. And my mission, and like I say in the book, I want to help this modality of personal transformation become as popular as yoga and Starbucks. It's a go-to modality for learning about yourself, for growing yourself, for learning how to connect with your bigger world around you. And whatever way that works for, you know what I mean? There's so many ways to go into this work. It doesn't have to be the same kind of formula for every program.
I love that, because it's so, depending on what your gifts are, you want to follow something that matches your gift and your talent, right? Along with those beautiful ponies. And I'm sorry, I do call them pony pones. I know they're all horses, but I do refer to them as pony pones.
But then when we have the ponies or the mini guys, we call them horses.
Yeah, so no comprende there.
I know. I think we texted about this. I do the same thing. I call the horses ponies, and when we have little horses, I call them little horses. or when we have ponies, I call them little horses.
I love it.
It's an infantile thing. We like babies. right?
That's it.
We're motherly. We like babies, so. I know we have to share some knowledge.
Absolutely. So, the huge thing, that we're so attracted to is that partnership component. Because how does the partnership work with the welfare of the horse versus that using idea? What are those differences that you can help us with?
Yeah. So there's layers here, right? One is if you're working with your own horses, one if you're working at somebody else's facility or you're leasing a horse or that kind of thing. So in terms of just the welfare of the horse, I love what you said at the beginning about we don't ride our teachers. Is understanding that the horse is an equal contributor and an equal partner in the work of working with other humans, and their safety is equally as important. Their safety mentally and physically and emotionally is equally as important, and to be able to watch for those things. And then my other thing is, and I kind of get on a soapbox about this once in a while, is respecting the horse as another sentient being and not just a tool in the work. And I often see people say, well, I have this exercise I want to use the horse for, which I never say the word use the horse, but I want to use the horse for. And then they explain the exercise why do you need a horse to do that exercise? What's the purpose of the horse to be there? Because what you just described to me, you could use a sawhorse or a fence post.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
And so when I see exercises like that I don't really understand the purpose of the horse being in the exercise, and if they can't explain it to me, they see that it's challenging for the human, but it does nothing for the horse. The horse is being used. Wow. And I don't want to insult anybody, so I'm not going to name specific exercises, but there is one that I absolutely will forbid anybody to do that comes to facilitate with me, and that is to ask somebody that has no horse experience to hand them a halter and go ask them to get a horse and put the halter on them without first demonstrating what that means or what it is for the horse.
You bet.
It's horrible. It's degrading to the human, right? It's degrading to the human. It's degrading to the horse. And here's the thing. Humans are fragile. Our egos are fragile. We have so many insecurities, and even the most secure, successful person may come to work with the horses. And even after you go through how to be with the horse safely, and even if you were going to ask them to put a halter on, and how to work with the horse, their stuff is going to come up. It's just going to come up because they're doing something unfamiliar. So their default behavior will present itself no matter what. You don't need to put them in a situation where they're going to fail because they don't have any of the correct information so that you can see their default behavior, because I think that's cruel.
You're right.
Anyway, that's my soapbox about using the horse versus partnering with the horse in a way that the horse can be successful and the human can be successful, and they can learn about themselves quickly in a positive mindset.
Oh, I love that. And it's so true. That actually made me have shivers on my arms. So I know that's a good. If I get the shivers, it means yes.
Holy jump
into the fish.
Jump into the fish. That was a good one. Okay, so if it's philosophy, right? You got to have a philosophy. If you're coming into this, you have to stand in something that you believe in. Like I often ask people, what do you stand for? You have to know what your stand is in this work, and for yourself, for the horse, and for your client. So what do you stand for? And when you're really clear on that, then you can have really powerful conversations with people that you're going to partner with. So whether it's another facilitator that you're going to partner with, like you're bringing them to you or you're going to them, you can have really clear, powerful conversations because you know what your stand is. And then you also have the space for them to share what their stand is or what their philosophy is. If you're going to go to someone else's facility, and people who come into this work don't always have their own horses, or maybe they only have one horse, or they don't have a facility to work at. And there's people who have facilities that it could be a really great win-win-win for you to come together. But in that negotiation process, you need to know what your philosophy is working with horses and whether or not you're in alignment, because if you're not going to be congruent. We were talking before we got on the call about, your head, heart, and gut, everything being in alignment. So it's really important to be able to express your beliefs around working with horses and to ask questions of the others in a way that is not confrontational, but gives you information to find out whether or not you're a good fit.
That's really good advice. And that the best part of that is that's actually great communication. Instead of holding it in and being scared to ask this magnificent place, like, no, just ask the questions, because if you're not congruent, there's no way you'll ever make it work. And then we got all that stuff stuck inside of us, which is now going to go to the horses. So that's really great advice. Communicate, ask those questions. It kind of reminds me of a mission or a vision statement, if you will, how that philosophy works. Because, that's really important to know if you're on the same path together.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And, this mission and vision statement has been coming up so much for us in the last couple of weeks, even last week with Jason Skoog. He was all about setting that mission or that vision, not only for what you want to do with your business or your life, but also for what you want to accomplish with your horse or what you want your horse to accomplish. And, it just really puts that into perspective, because so often we go out with our horses and we just think, hey, let's do this. But if there's no mission or passion or vision behind it, what's the ultimate goal? Then there's all sorts of bumps along the road, and it doesn't usually work out for the best interest of the horse.
No, it doesn't.
Yeah, I love that. Do you guys know who Yogi Berra is?
Yogi Bear?
He's past Yogi Berra. He was a baseball coach. Everybody knows Yogi Bear. Yogi Berra was a baseball coach, but he always had these really great sayings, and one of them was, "If you don't know where you're going, you're sure to get there."
Oh, I love that. You should take that in person. That's a good one. Yeah,
Only jump and get a fish. If you don't know where you're going, you're sure to get there. So if you don't have a plan or a mission,
you're sure to get there.
If you don't know where you're going, you're sure to get there.
Yeah, and it's true. So true. Okay, another question?
Yeah, so have you specifically seen differences when your clients or when people change from using the horse to partnering with the horse?
Yeah, I just had an amazing example this last week, as a matter of fact. And it was interesting because we were working with a large corporate group. And out of this group, one person was a horse person. And she has horses and she shows and jumps, and she was wanting to make it really clear to us that she's a horse person. And when we started with the activities, she was very perfunctory and, I know how to do this kind of attitude. And it was, the horse was obedient, but there was no connection. There was no connection. And so we challenged her to do the same thing at a distance, but she was going to have to use her heart and get into her body and her heart. And before she could even start, we asked her to just stop and notice the horse and just appreciate. And it was just this little shaggy halflinger, just what do you notice about this horse? And you saw her whole body shift. Where she, in the first experience, she was using the horse, to demonstrate that she knew how to complete the task. In the second experience, she was present.
Ooh.
And she was with the horse and engaged. And then she was able to connect and invite the horse to move in partnership as opposed to being obedient.
Wow.
It was beautiful. I mean, you could see it. Even people who weren't horse people could see it. She started to smile. She softened, her body language. She became fluid and flowy instead of straight and, perfunctory. It was very cool.
Very nice. Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. So that was a nice example.
I guess that would really be for any, if you're just riding, if you are just having a business that's, birthday parties for kids, if you're doing therapy, if you're doing therapeutic riding, hippotherapy. I mean, there's so many equine assisted learning where you don't ride the horse. That works for every single business that we are in, doesn't it?
Guess what? It works with people too.
Isn't that the truth? Now that's the huge parallel right there.
It works with people too. So we're talking about partnerships here. So I'm going to connect the dots. So when you are partnering with humans, because your clients are partnering with you to go from where they are to where they want to be, if you just have a bunch of activities laid out for them and you want to make sure you get to all of your activities, you're not really allowing space for what wants to happen next or what needs to happen next for the person that you're with. And so it goes both ways. When you soften and connect, you will most likely see them soften and connect also. They'll start to feel safer. They'll feel more open. They'll be willing to share more, those kinds of things. And same with negotiating or working in partnership and producing a workshop or sharing space or inviting somebody to facilitate with you and those kinds of things. It's, okay, we have this to-do list. We need to check. Make sure you are in relationship and you're checking in with, gosh, I know we said we were going to do this, but today this just isn't feeling right for me. Can we talk about this or explore this, right? And have permission to expand.
Absolutely. A question for you from Libby. So what does alignment look like for a horse? What are some clues that they are with you?
Oh, that's such a good question. Okay, so alignment for a horse is you're going to see them oftentimes lick and chew. They may lower their head. If you notice that the client approaches the horse and the horse's head goes up, that means the horse is on high alert. It's not feeling safe. And or there's something in the environment that has its attention. And it's important that we know what's in their environment and has their attention so that they know they're safe with us. If the horse's, their head and neck and body is kind of level, so that you just kind of see they're kind of level, that means they're just relaxed. They're alert, but they're relaxed. If they then drop their head and they're licking and chewing or stretching their neck or stretching their teeth, then they're processing, they're either releasing tension, which could be tension from the client or tension from participants or even the facilitator, or its own tension based on what just shifted, or it's processing something it just learned. So that's kind of, and when that happens, if you give the horse time to do that, to go ahead and process, and then re-engage or ask for the next thing or whatever, it's more likely going to be in alignment with you. And when you're asking for something and it goes easily, right, and they walk along beside you, and when you stop, they don't stop ahead of you, they stop just behind, respect you as the leader, then you know they're in alignment with you. That's just a few things.
Those are great tips. For any facilitator, no matter what they're doing, those are amazing tips.
Yes. Actually, just before we ask you the next question, Schelli, if you type partner in the comments below, you will receive a free little gift from Schelli, a fantastic checklist from Schelli, as well as some great resources information. So type partner in the comments and our Geordie bot will send you these fantastic little gifts right to your Facebook Messenger.
Yay! I love gifts. Who doesn't love gifts?
Cool.
Especially
It's just kind of it's just a little kind of bullet points to consider when you're partnering with other facilities or other people, or how to get started kind of thing. And then there's some business tips in there too, just about insurance, that kind of boring stuff.
But important stuff.
Yeah, it's important, but yeah, who wants to talk about that?
Yeah, no, today's definitely not today. We're never going to do an insurance live. Around the globe. No, we'll let the insurance people do that. We can talk about that.
Yeah.
So, Schelli, with that, what advice do you have to give about partnering with your horse to ensure its welfare?
Your hearse.
Your horse.
Your hearse. Your
Horse.
hearse.
Not my day.
Are you from Canada? Well, God, we don't have enough time for all this. But one of the things, I would say one of the things that is really important is to give your horse, respect your horse's opinion about what it wants to do. Now, if you have the ability, when I first started, I had one horse, and I was boarding at a facility that had a muddy round pen that nobody used, and that's how I got started. And so when I invited clients to work with me, and I just did one-on-one at that time, we worked with my horse, whether he wanted to or not, and a not so great environment, but we got started. It gave me the opportunity when he was engaged and when he wasn't, and how can I honor and what wants to happen next. And so I learned to then incorporate what, if he didn't want to engage, that would become part of the experience for the client. I didn't make the horse wrong because he didn't want to be, but I was able to involve the client in the process and what does this mean to them. But eventually, as I had more horses to work with and different kind of facility and all that, allow the horses to volunteer, which I love, that they know when it's time and they will be at the gate. And if they're not at the gate, they don't want to play.
Oh, that's so true.
They don't want to play. And if they don't want to play, they don't have to. And if they change their mind, they can come back. They can come in. And so that's how I will often do it that way. If you can, we're all at different places in the evolution of our programs and businesses. But I have seen programs where the horses are used perfunctorily. That's a word. The horses are honestly this horse at that time, and whether the horse wants to show up or not, and they use the horse. And I've seen, really busy facilities using their horses in multiple experiences, and then their person comes to ride them, and I just think it's too much. The horse has no time to just process them for themselves. So we try to give them space for that. And fortunately, the work that I do is not as intense as like some therapy programs or even therapeutic riding kind of thing, where the horses might take on a lot of emotional baggage. Most of my horses don't have to deal with that. So they bounce back pretty quickly after, a 5-day workshop or something. They're pretty good. So it will depend, get to know your horse and get to know what their yes and no means. And if they say no, respect that. If they say no and you don't have a choice, and you really do have to use them, you really do have to bring them in, because that is kind of use. Acknowledge it. Let them know. Like, tell them, I know that you really don't want to do this right now. I promise, you're going to get some extra carrots at the end of the day, and thank you. Give them some appreciation. They can feel that. You know how big their hearts are. They can feel it when you truly appreciate, instead of, dragging them along because, come on, you got to work now. It's like, I appreciate you so much. Thank you for being here today. I really need you, and let them feel that.
That was also really fabulous advice as well, because you're right. I mean, I know too, when I first started, you know, I had 1-2 horses. So it's not like I had an option to go pick others. But, you know, when we can see that through their body and they're telling us, no, I don't want to do it today, when they are with the client, it's so nice to be able to say, you know, Schelli, have you ever had that kind of day where sometimes you just don't want to show up, you just don't want to play, you're just not into it? Let's take a look at our guy here right now. What do you think he's telling us? Because, and that's even that learning process to how we can parallel that partnering, because even that person, they seem to feel that empathy piece and they're like, okay, we're going to take it easy today, buddy. We're just, and it actually makes it work better for the human being because they're at a very peaceful place too, because they're like, oh, he feels like I sometimes feel. So
exactly. And there's a good chance that the horse is already just mirroring the client at that point. And the client's like, yeah, I don't want to go to work either.
Yeah. It's so true. We always love when they show up though.
Yeah, and actually that actually leads us to this next piece really perfectly. I know you were saying before that you had some advice for those people who don't necessarily have horses or the facility yet, and there's ways that they can still partner up to make this all work. So go ahead.
Okay, so there's a couple of different pieces to that, and one is before you approach another facility or another facilitator, like for instance, we did the group we did last week, the big corporate group. We partnered with a therapeutic riding facility because we needed a large space and a classroom and all that kind of stuff, and knew the horses and knew the facilitator and knew their philosophy and all of that. But the thing that we could bring to them was we had a very specific program. This is what we are doing. This is how your horses will be engaged. This is how we will respect your horses. This is how we will respect your property. This is how long we will be here. You know, and there was remuneration involved, meaning they were paid for the time with their horses and for their facility and all of that. Have a very specific program. Sometimes people come out of the gate after their training and they're like, oh, there's this barn down the road from me and they board horses and maybe I can, you know, do workshops there and work with those horses and all of that. And they want to go talk to them. I'm like, great, what are you going to say? You know, and well, I'm going to tell them that I have this certification and that I can, you know, and I would like to do workshops here. It's like, what does that mean to them? What's the win for the facility or the person you're asking to partner with? Make sure that something about this work that is incredibly valuable is how good it is for the horses, right?
Absolutely.
Gesundheit, whoever that was.
I love that.
Right. So the work it's wonderful for the horses. It allows the horses to express their opinions. It allows them to engage with humans in a way that is outside of their everyday work. It kind of expands their ability to read people differently and to have that rewarded. So it's great for the horses too. Will the facility make any money as a result of you being there? Is there other things that are you going to bring people to their facility that may become boarders or interested in leasing or taking riding lessons or, you know, that kind of thing? What's the win for where you're going to go? Because we always want it to be win-win-win. Win for you, win for them, and win for the clients.
True negotiation.
Yeah, so start with them. Take the first of all, stop thinking about what's in it for you and think about what's in it for them. And then how will you deliver? And if you have a very specific program in mind and you know the kind of people that are going to be coming to work there, that you're inviting to work with you and all of that, then you can be super clear and specific. And just like we said at the beginning, you know what you stand for.
Wow.
You know what you can speak really clearly.
That is really great advice. I'm getting great advice.
Oh, jump into a fish.
Yeah.
I'm going to say that all day now.
It is great.
So thank you so much, Schelli, for all of this incredible information and advice. And this has been an incredible chat. And if you guys want her free book, she's so generous to offer that to us. Type partner in the comments below, and you'll also get a checklist that Schelli has put together to go over some of the horsey side of things, the insurance side of things. it's necessary, but it's in there. So type partner in the comments and it'll be sent straight to your Facebook Messenger through our Jordy bot. And I'm just going to put up Schelli's website here too, just in case you do want to go and check her out and see what else she has.
If you want to get the book, The Business of Coaching with Horses, you can get it at the website.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah, I'll just show it. There we go. This is what she looks like. The book. Well, I'm Schelli. I was referring to the book.
And Cruiser, dude. That's my pony, Cruiser.
Oh, great name. Good old Cruiser. He actually looks like our guy, Comet. Even when I saw this, I'm like, I can't comprehend. We are very parallel, Schelli.
I know.
That's for another day. But, you know, I love that you were able to so much parallel and bring those welfare pieces together for both being in business, partnerships, and being with other humans. But most importantly, that welfare piece for the horse, because you are so right. Like, we have to hear them. They have to be allowed to have those opinions, be a partner to the process to help the human, or nobody will win and nobody will feel safe. So thank you. It was so lovely to speak with you.
Thank you all.
So next week we will be live again Wednesday at 9 a.m. Mountain Standard Time. And if you guys remember Doug Walsh, he's an incredible horseman from Florida. We had very bad internet connection, so he will actually be joining us again to really get into the nitty-gritty of horse communication and how we can really help our horses with that piece and how we can learn how to communicate with our horses on a whole new level. And it was incredible last time. It'll be incredible again.
And he's amazing. I've seen him in actual action, so I know for sure whatever he says, it is real.
So thank you again for joining us, and we will see you next week. Thank you, Schelli.
Thank you.